Hi everyone. In one of my occupational therapy classes, the professors asked me to make a functional splint. Functional splint means it's something that you wear, sort of an orthotic device. It's not a full-blown splint, and it's to help you do an activity, a daily activity that's important to you. And so I decided the activity that was important to me would be feeding a baby, and how I would feel if I didn't have maybe sufficient finger grip strength to feed my own baby. And if I couldn't engage in that activity just because I couldn't manipulate spoons or a bottle, it would be really heartbreaking for me. And so I thought, well, how might we allow that to happen? And I got to thinking a person who doesn't have good functional grip strength in their fingers is probably using a universal cuff. And so I started with that. I didn't have one, so I built one, and then I decided I would take my design and build off of that. So first I'll show you the universal cuff. I made mine out of about 3 feet worth of Velcro brand one-strap material, and that's it's material that's kind of sticky on one side and it sticks to itself. Something you could, for instance, picture as something you could wrap around a sleeping bag and stick right to itself, and that would hold everything together. Here's the material. I used 1.5 inches, seemed like a comfortable height. And then essentially you wind it around your hand with the soft side in so it's comfortable, and stick it to yourself. My universal cuff, this is a little different than most, has a loop on the end, and that's my thumb strap. That's not necessarily as a splint to hold your thumb in place. It's really just something to hook the orthotic onto as you're putting it on, because I figure if someone doesn't have good grip strength, they've got to be able to put this thing on themselves, and manipulating Velcro can be tough. So in this case, you take the thumb hole and you put your thumb through, and then whether you've got great strength or not, you should be able to at least manipulate, wrap this strap around, and attach it to itself. And then the universal cuff, typically, even though maybe it's only this part around the palm, then has a pouch on the palm side where you can slide different utensils, whether it's a spoon or a hairbrush, writing utensil, into. So I have a pouch too. I fabricated mine using a couple of loops of the Velcro one strap. So things just slide right into that pouch. So with this in mind, a person could feed fairly well. You just stick the spoon in there, it sticks out to the side, you feed yourself without having to hold the spoon with your hand. That's a basic universal cuff. The problem is that points your utensils off to the side, either off to this side, typically the thumb, or you could stick it out to the other side depending on what you're doing. But when you're feeding a baby or doing any kind of work with someone else, you often want to hold the utensil sticking straight out. So I thought I would devise something that would allow a person to do that. I came up with this. This is really just a simple, it's scrap splinting material, thermoplastic splinting material. I bent it into just on this shape, just a nice tight turn, just turned it around, and that's basically a hook to hold it onto that pouch that I built. And then this side, you can see I split it into 3 different fingers, and then I kind of wrap them all up with this Velcro one strap material again, so you can tie them tight together. And then the void space in between those 3 fingers is where you hold your utensil. So that then fits right inside here. And I'll show in the video, you really don't even need good finger strength to be able to load these things. You just push it right in, push it back, it's hooked, and then you're good. You can load in a writing utensil, a spoon, anything onto that material. Then it's pointing outwards so you can feed the baby. I'll show you again later with my own son, Jesse. And then the next thing I wanted to show you was I also made a bottle holding splint. That's this device here. You can see it's kind of a curlicue design. It's got 2 opposing circular loops that wrap around a cylinder, and similar to the other splint, it's got a long slender thing that fits through the cuff, and I'll go ahead and load it up. It just goes all the way through the cuff, pokes out the other side, and then I devised a simple hook. You could attach a button, you could wrap Velcro around both ends, just anything to keep it together at the end, because with this splint, when the bottle's more than halfway full, you've got a decent amount of gravity pulling against it. And then those two loops, you just push the bottle in, and that'll hold it. It holds it pretty good, even when it's full of water. If it's not enough, if you got a big bottle or you don't quite have quite as much splinting material, thermoplastic as I do, then you could also add some Velcro to these loops and really hold everything tight. But the more Velcro, the more straps, the harder it is to use functionally. So I try to come up with something that works on its own, and it does. And then, so all told, I got about 3 feet of Velcro. If you have a universal cuff, then really you're all set. But if you have to make one, the 3 feet worth I figured cost me about $2. It was part of a larger roll. I'll use it for other stuff. So $2 there. This is scrap material. If you had to use real material, then of course, I don't know, your clinic is charging you. It's expensive stuff, but it's not very much material. You should be able to find this in the waste bin. And so now, I'll show you how it works on the baby. Hi, this is Jesse. He's going to help me show you how this splint will work. You can see here I have the universal cuff. I'm just starting with that. And then I'm going to put on my attachment for spoon feeding a baby. And as you can see, I don't even need to have a lot of good finger grip strength to load the attachment onto the cuff. Just like that, it's done. And then we take the spoon and push that in. Again, if I didn't have good grip strength, any way to get it in there, it all counts. And I'm loaded. Now I'm set with the spoon, instead of pointing out to the side of my hand, it's pointed forward, which is good for giving it to someone else. And this is Jesse, and today he's very excited about having some rice pudding. I'll just show you how this works. You ready? Some more? Works like a charm. I know. Want some more? Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Yeah, what's going on? Hey, now I wanted to show you another way we could use this functional splint I had, and that's to bottle feed the baby. He might be a little big for it. He prefers to hold his own bottles, but maybe he'll work with me to show you how it works. So I still have the spoon feeding attachment on my universal cuff, see? So to get that off, you just kind of pop it out of there and slide it back in. Again, it doesn't really take much in the way of grip strength. Thankfully, neither is picking up a baby. And then I load in my bottle feeding attachment. So push that through, and luckily it's not so tough to load it, because you might have a squirmer on your hands when you're doing it. I got a bottle for you. And then this will hold the bottle like so. And then, hey everybody. As you can see, sometimes your functional grip strength is really more important in wrangling the child than it is in feeding the child. It all depends on what mood they're in. I talked to Jesse. He wanted to let me know, let everyone know that he's sorry he couldn't behave for the video. I told him no big deal. So thanks for watching, and go ahead, make yourself a universal cuff adapter. Bye-bye.